You know, we've been keeping an eye on the Collin County Courthouse since about 2 p.m. when we first got word the jury had reached a verdict in the track meet stabbing trial. Emotions are running high right now, and after deliberating for a few hours, the jury came back with a murder conviction.
And at this moment, that jury is in deliberations again, this time to determine Karmelo Anthony's sentence in the death of Austin Metcalf. We want to get right to our live team coverage tonight. We have Cole Sullivan gathering reaction from the crowd that's gathered outside the courthouse. But first, senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez, senior investigative reporter Tanya Iserer, and Jobin Paniker, along with legal expert Keith Harris.
Yeah, Jobin, you have been our eyes and ears in the courtroom, and you all have decades of experience covering trials like this. Bring us up to speed on what they're deciding right now.
Well, right now they are deciding the punishment, whether Karmelo Anthony is going to get 5 to life unless this jury, 5 to 99, unless this jury determines that they're going to consider sudden passion, which then would drop the sentencing from 2 to 20. But I'm going to get a little bit more of an explanation from our legal experts. So just talk about what this jury is deliberating right now.
So they're deliberating everything because it's punishment. So you can now take the facts of the case into consideration, as well as anything else that they heard in the courtroom as evidence in the punishment phase, mainly Karmelo's mom and her testifying, and if there's anything about that, and the arguments of the attorneys in closing arguments.
And if you can, give us the legal definition of sudden passion.
So sudden passion, it's a mitigation to murder, and it's when someone does not have time to cool reflection, or to just like calm down and actually make a cool decision, a rational decision. So usually it's one of those deals where they snap. We talk about it in layman terms. They just snapped. Their temper was hot. Something happened and they got really stirred up and they snapped. And that's usually like layperson for sudden passion, cool reflection.
Yeah. And Jobin, you were in the courtroom. They really want to hear what those last closing arguments were about.
Yeah, you know, first of all, there's emotion on both sides of this family. We heard the emotion from Kayla Hayes. This is Karmelo Anthony's mom. She testified for just under a minute. There weren't very many questions. Her response was, "Have mercy on my son," and she said that crying.
Wow, and talk about Austin Metcalf's family.
Yeah,
reaction.
Austin Metcalf's family also very emotional. Not on the at the beginning. It was just really quiet inside that courtroom just before the verdict was read. After it was read, still very quiet, at least on their side. It wasn't until we got back and the jury came back for sentencing that we, at least to hear the instructions for sentencing, that we actually saw some emotion from both sides.
Wow.
And Keith, this jury, Rebecca and I were just talking about this before we went live, this jury's now been deliberating longer than it took them to come to the guilty verdict. What do you make of that?
You know, I can see that. You know, I think that the hardest probably decision for them is what do we do now? Like, what's a proper sentence? And I could see that definitely being something that would take longer than maybe guilt innocence for them.
All right, well, we'll be right here with this verdict for you guys as soon as it happens. The judge is going to let them deliberate till at least 10 o'clock. So now we're going to Cole, who's been with the people that have been out here protesting, demonstrators, supporters. Cole, give us a little bit of an idea of what the atmosphere has been like.
Well, Rebecca, as temperatures rose here today, so did tempers. More than 100 people, 150 people here gathered, yelling and screaming at each other in the parking lot outside this courthouse earlier today. Most have now gone home, or at least back to their cars. But here's some video from earlier so you could just see the emotion and the tension that was outside of this courtroom. I did not see any fights. Nobody put their hands on each other out here, but there were definitely strong words exchanged and some profanity exchanged as well. All of this attention, lots of it coming from internet influencers, people who were live streaming this trial, people who are watching all over the country, some of whom traveled here just to be here for verdict day and also to stream this trial out to their followers online, but also people from this community, people here to watch, people who have driven past on their way to or from work and seen the security presence outside this courthouse, people who have been following this case since April of last year when it happened, who came out here to see how this all was going down. We talked with one woman who brought her young daughter out to witness this.
So on one side, I feel proud to see my people out here. On the other side, I feel hurt because we're hurting. This is not good for nobody. It's not good for anybody involved.
we've heard from all sides involved in all of this, and all of these groups of people out here in the parking lot have been under the watchful eye of the Collin County Sheriff's Office. Tight security here, drones in the air from the Sheriff's Office, and also a number of uniformed officers standing at attention at the base of the stairs to this courthouse, making sure people do not go up those stairs to this courthouse. Security remains tight as we wait to see this sentence. And Rebecca and Tanya, I know you guys have been out here as well and have seen all of these crowds that have gathered and grown over the course of this trial to a peak today of more than 100 people out here. And we will continue to keep an eye on it and bring you updates as we hear about that sentence. Back to you.
All right, Cole, thank you.